This shit, man.
All right. All right, beautiful people. Welcome to the Day and Night Podcast, episode number, was it 101? Okay, I just want to say thank everybody for joining us. Uh, had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're up and running. So as always, beautiful people, like, subscribe, comment, share if you can. We got another good episode for y'all today. Y'all just gonna have to excuse me. I'm a little under the weather for my trip to Sweden, so I'm gonna push through it. Nose is a little stuffy. As you can see, my voice is kind of hoarse a little bit, but like I said, we got a good one for y'all. Um, so I'm gonna kick it over to Mark in San Antonio.
Hello, everybody. Just want to say thanks for joining. Appreciate you guys. Like always, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and just want to say thank you to you know who you are. I appreciate y'all every weekend being loyal and watching us and supporting us. That means a lot. So I just want to say thank you for that, and I'm looking forward to this topic. Like always, it's always good ones, like Matt just stated. So I'm ready, and I'm gonna let you do what you do and kick this off.
All right, all right, all right. So like I always say, beautiful people, I've been thinking. So y'all just bear with us on this one because Mark already said it. Like, didn't we already talk about this? So we kind of sort of did talk about this. But I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth as far as this topic. Um, like I said, I traveled last weekend. I was able to go to Sweden. So just seeing a different side of the world, different side of culture, different environment. So it just brought to my mind how we manifest things and what we think about. In my opinion, truly, really do determine uh, our reality. So my famous saying, or what I always say when I open up, is your thoughts create your belief, and your belief creates your reality. So for those of you that believe in metaphysics, um, the laws of the universe, that's pretty much where I got that from. Um, and the reason why I say it is because I 100% wholeheartedly believe that we do create our reality based off of how we think and what our thoughts are. So I'm not going to get into the science of it. I'm going to leave that up to y'all to do your own research on it. But it is science that is backed, or backs it or proves it, that our thoughts really do create our reality. Just a little bit. If anyone knows what matter is, that's what we all are made up of. We're made up of cells too, but it's basically matter. And scientists actually was able to, I don't know what type of uh, microscope they used, but they used a microscope where they was able to break matter down to the smallest particle, and they actually could see that it wasn't bounded together and was actually separate, and it was moving as energy. So everything in the universe is matter. So that's where the whole belief of, or the concept comes from. Our thoughts create our belief, because when we're thinking, if you can look at it from that sense, our thoughts are actually matter. It's not empty. It's not, uh, nothing. It's not empty space. It's actually matter, and it's actually energy. So if you're thinking negative things, that's negative energy. That's negative matter that you're building up. And you have those subconscious thoughts, you have those conscious thoughts. And while doing so, that matter is building, is creating energy. And that's how you attract, whether it's positive or negative energy, into a belief. And we all know what belief is. I don't feel as though I have to go in depth as far as belief. That's anything that someone wholeheartedly trusts in. They move based off of what they believe in. They function off of that. Their whole state of being is based off of what they believe in. Um, I used to always say this: when you get in the car, that's to me a perfect example of belief. That's like blind belief. No one actually, well, some people, depending on what type of car you have, would get in the car and be like, oh man, I hope this car make it down the road. I hope the gas actually, works. I hope the tire is good. Most people don't do that unless you just got a real bad vehicle. Most people jump in the car if you're in a rush. Damn, I gotta get to work, or I gotta be somewhere. You're not consciously thinking, man, I hope this car start. I hope nothing wrong with it. You just believe that's going to start and it's going to actually roll down the street. So that's for me what belief is. It's just functioning with no second thought and wholeheartedly trusting whatever it is that you're doing. So, like I was saying, whether if it's positive thoughts or negative thoughts, we're creating some form of belief. And then that belief, it creates our reality based off of the positive or negative thoughts. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. Like I said, I'll open it up a little bit more. I'm going to get Mark's perspective on it based off what I just said, and then we're going to go from there.
Well, I mean, just kind of piggyback off of what you just said is pretty much I view it the same way. I'm not more in depth, as deep in it as you are, but yeah, I'm to the point where now I'm consciously realizing that that is facts all the way. We do definitely create our reality, and it's definitely based off of or how we think and the belief. And I will say this to kind of flip it and say that everybody definitely practice that. And what I mean by that is a lot of people that think negative are the most probably more consistent at believing in something than the ones that creating positive. So the people that know that something's going to happen and go wrong and they adamant about it, just know that everything is bad. Those are the people that, to me, are just too powerful at it because they are allowing themselves to accept all that negative and bad stuff. So they consistently knowing that something's going to go wrong, so they believe it because that's all they think. So that's the main problem is if you think that way. To me, I always say just flip it. Now I had a conversation the other day with somebody. They was like, "Well, it's easier said than done." I'm like, "Yeah, it is, but if you practice in the negative, why is it so hard to do the opposite?" So to me, it's not hard. It is easy because if you're doing the other way, just thinking negatively and expecting everything bad to happen, then why can't you do that with a positive outlook and expect good things to happen and good things will happen? So I'm just a firm believer in that. And the other day when I was coming to work, and I think we said this, or I said this on the last podcast, on where you start your day off saying, man, it's gonna be a long day, and then next thing you know, it's a long ass day. So
Mm-hmm.
Monday, it was the craziest day. So I get up early in the morning to go to the gym. So I got up at 3 o'clock. I overslept, not Monday, Tuesday. I was rushing, so I overslept, got to work and realized, damn, I left my work shirt. So I usually go from the gym straight to work because it's early in the morning. So I had to drive all the way back home, get my work shirt, and then go to work. So when I got to my house, the access gate for where I come into is one of the remotes with your phone. So the only way you can get in is by your remote from your phone. So I had to get inside. When I got inside the house, I grabbed my shirt, but I was in a hurry that I left my dang on phone in in the house. So when I'm driving down the street, I was like, damn it, I left my cell phone. But I couldn't get back into the access gate
Mm.
because I didn't have my phone. So I said, fuck it, I'm just go to work because I'm gonna be super late. So I get to work, all the machines breaking down. The first thing that came out of my mouth, damn, this is gonna be a messed up day. It
Yeah.
started off with me forgetting my dang on shirt. So the rest of the day was trash. Everything could go wrong went wrong. So the point I'm coming to with all this is when you do think that way, and you give yourself that reason to think everything's gonna go wrong, that universe going to connect, and that energy and that vibe you're putting out there is going to be a ripple effect. And it's just because you're not even thinking, I was in a hurry, so everything was just domino effect. So the whole day was just trash. So that's why I'm a firm believer of that concept. Your belief becomes your thoughts. I mean, your thoughts become your belief, and then that literally a reality. Because I started thinking that early in the morning. That was 3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole day was trash. So I believe that, guys. So the whole point I'm making is we just kind of create better thoughts and have better positive outlook and believe it, then your reality is going to definitely change. That's just me saying that from one experience. That was just Tuesday, and as the week went on, I'll give y'all a little bit more stuff that went on. But yeah, that's just my little kickoff on what you were saying about that.
No, that was perfect. Like I said, you always be right on point. So, all right. So I'm gonna go a little bit further with it. So I don't know if anyone heard of Abraham Hicks. He's a spiritual teacher. He wrote books. He does teachings and stuff like that. So if you never heard of him, just look him up. And he came up with this concept. It's called the 17-second rule. So basically, what this 17-second rule is, you hold a positive thought for 17 seconds and feeling, and you're setting in motion a chain reaction of positive energy that's going to attract more positivity into your life. Now, this is the key part to it, because I hear a lot of people, they talk about it. Well, this is what I'm attracting. And it's not as easy and simple as it sounds to just say, well, I'm just going to think positive. That's really challenging because 17 seconds goes like that. So unless you're in like meditation, then it's probably a challenge to hold that. But if you're just in your everyday, business or whatever, you're in the car, at work, whatever the case is, you can start off saying, okay, 17 seconds, I'm going to do this. Somebody can come by, say something to you, look at you a certain type of way. Or if you're in the car, somebody might drive, cut you off, blow the horn, or whatever the case is. And bam, that thought goes to you cussing that person out. Or what the hell that person looking at? What their problem? Or you got children, you thinking, well, damn, I hope my children's is doing okay. Or if you get a text from somebody and it's something that's going to throw you off, then you basically just nullified that whole 17-second rule. Now, this is the second part to it. This is the hardest part, is the feeling part. So it can't just be 17 seconds, okay, I'm going to live a life of abundance, and you just keep repeating it in your mind for 17 seconds, and you think, okay, I'm about to get it all. That's not how it works. So you actually have to feel it, like literally feel it as you're saying that. And that's what's going to really kick that vibration into motion. And this is the key. Like you have to maintain that thought throughout the entire day and for X amount of days. It's not something you just do one day and then go back about your business for the rest of the day and thinking negative. It has to be consistent throughout the day. Now, the 17 seconds is you're just basically kickstarting it into play. You're starting to build that momentum of positive energy coming towards you. Like you gave that perfect example of how it started off with you going back because you left your shirt and then the phone. And then next thing you know, bam, it was a chain reaction. So that's what the 17-second rule is. You start off 17 seconds, positive thoughts, but at the same time, feeling it. When I say feel it, it has to be like you're actually in that moment. And this is the other thing. I was actually thinking about this earlier. Some people can fake it and act like, "Whoo, yeah, I got it. Yes, no, it has to be genuine. It has to come from the gut, and it has to be authentic, as if you actually receiving it and you're in the moment." So that's the most challenging part, is the feel, because that feel is a vibration and a frequency. So if it's not legit, the universe can pick up on it. That vibration and frequency is not going to be authentic, and it's not going to do anything. And that's why some people get frustrated, like, man, that's BS. That don't work, because they probably not doing both. Or if they are doing both, it's not really coming from the gut. And you have to maintain that, like I said, consecutively every day, throughout the day, until you get what it is that you're trying to manifest. Because the whole point of it is to build that positive momentum of a high vibration that's basically going to kickstart you into the rest of the day of riding that high vibration and frequency. And if you maintain that for that whole day, then the next day it will be a lot easier. And then the 17 seconds turn into 20 seconds, then 30 seconds, then a minute, then 2 minutes. Next thing you know, for 30 minutes, you just in this mindset and frequency of vibration of positive thoughts. Now, whatever you want is coming to you like that. So, and I'm pretty sure you had the opposite of what you just said. You may have
Yeah.
started off with a good day, and the next thing you know, everything is just coming to you like, man, well, I'm getting whatever I want to get. Going to work, all green lights, highway open, get to work. Your boss like, okay, I'm gonna give you some extra PTO hours. Whatever. I'm just saying that, but just stuff like that would start to build up.
Right.
So what do you think about the 17-second rule?
Well, I mean, you said it perfectly. So, yeah, it is definitely going to be challenging. 17 seconds is quick, and it's definitely something we all should practice. I'm actually going to start doing that just to test it to see how that would go. Not say I don't doubt it, but just to give you an exercise to challenge myself more. I say more of it as a challenge than to say I don't trust it or believe it. So I want to challenge myself and make myself get to that point where, like you said, it becomes consistency, because that is one thing that, it's easy to say, like I've stated earlier, and to think that, 17 seconds and then we all have that mindset. You expect that gratitude, that instant reaction of everything's working the way it should, and then you get disappointed when it's not, so you feel like it wasn't true. So that was a great point you made, where you say you got to be consistent. That goes to where I always preach STS, like stay focused, trust that process, and stay consistent, because anything you do, you're not going to get the results you want if you're going to do that fad or that quick result reaction where you feel like it's supposed to happen instantly. No. And the whole subject is what you said, belief. You got to believe and know, like you were saying, the gut. You got to have that gut feeling, true to it, and know what you're doing is going to work. And that's why I keep alluding to this when I say we do this already when we do negative things and think negatively. The ones that just accept everything bad, just know that it's bad. That's a belief, because you believe that nothing's going right. So just flip it. And I know you made that good point about ain't that easy, especially when you're not used to it. But practice it. It's the only thing I'm gonna say on that is challenge yourself and see where it goes, because it's interesting. The 17 second. So that's definitely something I believe is a good point to try to force yourself to. I should say force, challenge yourself to do that. So
all right. Now this is the other part what we was talking about before we started. Now, when I was over in Sweden, it was just for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but it was a noticeable difference as far as the environment. For me, it felt peaceful. Not that I feel threatened anytime I'm, going about here, but for me, sometimes I just think I'm gonna come across some knucklehead or, somebody's spewing something stupid or saying something rude or disrespectful. But it was just like a certain level of peace over there. There's, like I said, it's really noticeably different. And it was crazy. It was weird because it was quiet, but you could still hear the people moving about. Now, the majority of their vehicles over there are electric. So when they're driving down the street, all you hear is, you don't hear the loud vehicles and stuff like you do here. People ain't booming in music. You hear people talking, but it's not loud. Like here, certain places you go, if you go in the hood, you got people screaming or yelling at somebody down the street, somebody getting cussed out or whatever. And you couldn't, there's none of that stuff over there. So I was like, man, why it just feels so, it's like it's quiet. I mean, I know it's people out. I hear them, but I don't hear them, if that makes sense. So basically what I'm getting to is all the social media and the news and stuff that we get pumped with over here, it helped creates our reality. And over there, I mean, I don't speak Swedish, so I don't know what the hell he was talking about on the TV. But
Mhm.
because I didn't hear that, it brought a level of peace to me because I wasn't bombarded with all that nonsense. And I very rarely was on the phone looking at social media. So it
Mhm.
just gave me a level of peace to where it's like, man, this feels good. And so I asked like one of the locals there, I was like, I'm just curious. Do y'all like in the States, we claim or keep seeing crap like UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. And it was like, no, we don't have many experiences like that. We don't talk about it. So my whole point is here in the United States, we're creating a reality for ourselves because we're being pumped so much crap, whether it's with TikTok, the news, we just
Mhm.
keep getting pumped so much information that people are literally manifesting their reality because they're basing their beliefs off of stuff that they're receiving and have no proof of it. Especially
Mhm.
like TikTok is the main one. And with the technology we have, they can make stuff look so real like it's on a movie you think is really happening, but it's not. So
Exactly.
that stuff is
Yeah.
shaping people's belief that all this stuff is going on. And because we're so at odds as far as with race, religion, um, it's creating a certain mindset to whereas you got people that's all about money, you know. So you got this genre over here that's based off only on religion. You got this genre here that's based off of science and metaphysics and stuff like that. You got this genre over here that's based off of spirituality. Then you got this genre over here that's based off of nature. So you got so many different beliefs and so many
Mhm.
different realities is being created. It's like it's one big ball of mess. And my question was, is the reason why I wanted to talk about this is, are we truly manifesting the reality that we want? No, are we truly manifesting or creating our own beliefs or our beliefs being created based off of what's being pumped to us? Me personally, I think our beliefs are being created based off of what we're being told and what we're seeing. So I'm just going to leave it there and get your uh, opinion off of what I just said.
Well, again, that's 100% on point. The part I love the most is about how we getting pumped with all this stuff to definitely manipulate our minds and have a create our own reality. So I haven't had the chance yet, but it's coming soon to travel and go to other countries and actually endure different cultures so you can see it. I think that's part of the problem too. A lot of us here don't get out to travel. Not the ones that do, but the ones that don't. And those are the ones that typically or probably more or less easier to have that reality they create because all they
Mm-hmm.
do know is social media or what's on TV, and they allow themselves to get pumped with all that. Unfortunately, that's kind of creates that situation for them. Now, you shouldn't think like that. You should think outside the box, of course, but it's a proven fact that all this crap that's going on, you're right. And technology is ridiculous nowadays on half the stuff I see now. I question it anyway. Like, was that or did that really happen? Because I was watching the other day where they took an old skit with Bad Boys and put P. Diddy and all them on there on the face
Yeah.
and act out a scene. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
now, and it looks so real. You wouldn't even be able to know. You never knew. You thought that was them. So that is true. And it is definitely manipulating our minds and causing us to think a type of way. And that's one thing I noticed about when you brought up the phone. It made me think about when I left my phone at home. Not once was I worried because I know some people, if they leave their phone at home, they act like they can't function the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
They act like they don't know what to do. They literally clueless. And I felt good. I felt relieved. I wasn't always every 5 minutes, even though I can because I'm at work for 12 hours. But it's just the fact that I don't have that extra outlet to go to distract me and look
Mm-hmm.
at it and have me putting all this craziness in my mind. So I'm a firm believer that is the biggest problem. Now, that shouldn't be an excuse because we still should be able to think and create our own reality without letting all this crap on TV and social media manipulate us. We still should be strong enough mind wise to not allow it, but it is happening. So I definitely agree with that. Um, and I was sitting there thinking because at work we just got upgraded to a new technology now where everything is going to be on a computer. So
Mm.
we probably one of the last plants out there where we were still primitive using paperwork for everything. So it's funny how everything is going on the computer and everybody just didn't know what to do. Everybody's overreacting, so everybody's being negative and just this is stupid. It don't make no sense. And the reason why I'm talking about that is because that's just the reality of how people think that nobody wants to grow. They want to stay in one setting because
Mhm.
change is too different. So I feel like that's part of it too, is you got to be able to allow yourself to grow and change and learn something new. And I think that's the problem with a lot of us nowadays as people. Some of us get so complacent and content. So we watch what we watch and we do what we do. So we damn near like robots. So that's the reality we're going to have. And that's why you get what you get because we're not
Mhm.
changing, we're not challenging ourselves to get out the box and do something different, to open our minds so we don't have that reality or that we're creating because we're not doing anything to change it. So I feel like that's part of it, that would
Mhm.
help as far as that. But yeah, you hit it 100 on that one, as always.
You know what's funny is because I was on the train and it was this old lady and she had her phone. So the doors open up and somehow she lost control of the phone and she was
Mm-hmm.
like doing like this, fiddling with it, and it fell out her
Yeah,
hand and fell in between the train and the tracks.
right.
And then the doors closed. This woman, you would have swore this woman lost 10 of her kids and her mom and dad. She was in utter shock. She was like,
uh,
I mean, just standing there. It's not funny, but just
no,
the
no,
look on her face, like, woman, it's
right.
a phone. You can go get another phone. But she was
Yeah.
like petrified. And she got
Uh-huh.
off the train and she just stood there on the platform like this the whole time. Like the woman was
Yeah.
totally disturbed. Like, what the hell am I going to do? Can I still exist without this phone?
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's wild because like you just said, we're so attached to it that
Mm-hmm.
it's making us literally into robots. And this is another thing. That's why I love, when I travel, I try not to be amongst Americans
Mm-hmm.
because then you can really see the difference. I like to
Right.
be in the city and the culture of the people that's from that nature.
Right.
I mean that nature, from that country. So I
Mm-hmm.
was doing the bus tour, hop on, hop off,
Mm.
and of course some Americans was there. Um, and it was what they call them, what they call the women, a Karen. So she's
Oh.
sitting there talking to her husband. These two Swedish girls are walking up out of nowhere. She looks at them, where y'all going? And they like looked at each other like, excuse me? She's like, where y'all going?
Right.
There's a line here. And they was like, what? And she said, what are
Uh-huh.
y'all doing? There's a line here. Are you getting on the bus? And she said, are you getting on the trolley? She's like, and
Mm.
they just kept looking at her and she's like going off on them. And she said, I just want y'all to know that there's a line here. So there's other people before you. And there's like, no, we're getting on the bus. She said, okay, I just wanted to know. I just wanted to make sure. So the point I'm getting to is that mindset and whatever perception she have in her head, she brought
Right.
that from the States there. She didn't know if these
Mm-hmm.
people was walking just down the street or if they was catch
Right.
because there's a bus you can catch, a trolley, and the red bus that hop on, hop off stops at the same spot. They have no
Right.
clue what they was doing. And this
Uh-huh.
woman just blasting, where y'all going? So the point I'm getting to is that stuff that we put in our minds, we create a certain belief. So this woman, for some reason, had a belief that these two young ladies was trying to cut the line, and I guess because they was young, she thought they didn't have no respect for people or whatever the case was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just thought that was very interesting, and you could see the contrast as far
Yeah.
as the people over there, and then Americans. So I went to
Mm-hmm.
the Viking Museum, and the guy
Right.
was giving a spill about the history and stuff. Everybody else just listening, and go American again. She has had to butt in and try to tell the dude what's going on and give him a history lesson.
Right.
So he politely corrected her, and she finally shut up and left. But the point I'm
Mhm.
getting to is you can see the vast difference between the mindset, and it all starts with what we're putting in and creates our belief. So for whatever reason, Americans are they're overconfident, they're cocky, and they think they know it all. And that's not just there. I experienced that in many other places I've been to. You can always tell when an American is around. And getting to my
Mhm.
other point is there's not a lot of black people there. So when I was out and about, you might luckily see one or two. But and my first thought is most of them there, they didn't care. They're just going about their business. But you may get one or two that kind of look at you a certain type of way. So my first thought is because we've been ingrained here that everybody is racist, they looking at you like that because you're black. And I had to stop and think, well, maybe because I'm wearing this big ass Eagle shirt and it's basically saying, hi, I'm American, where they don't wear sports paraphernalia and stuff over there, you know?
Uh-huh.
And most German countries, they're very basic and plain. In the
Mm.
wintertime, they wear all dark colors. They don't have
Yeah.
name brand stuff. If they do, you won't know it's name brand. So you could
Right.
clearly see that I was a foreigner. So they could have been looking at me like, okay, he's definitely a foreigner. He's not from here.
Mhm.
Um, so the point I'm getting to is just basically the environment that we in, like I said, can create our belief which manifests our reality. So, like going back to what I just said a minute ago, I think that's dangerous because my question is like, seriously, who really creates their own reality? And do we realize that we're not creating our own reality? We're only we creating our reality based off beliefs because of what we're experiencing and what we're being told and what we're being shown. So I'm just curious, do you feel as though like when you travel, outside the United States and you get to experience this, do you think when you come back, would you want to stay, or do you think you can actually see that you call it conspiracy theory, if you want, but I think there's an agenda again to control our beliefs that basically control how we function because it's easier to control a person if you know how they're going to move opposed to trying to control somebody who have no clue what they're thinking and what they believe in.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a firm believer of that. I believe, yeah, once I get to travel and I experience a good time and it's totally different, yeah, that would kind of change my mindset and make me feel like, man, maybe this is not where I need to be because it's not, for one, I ain't gonna say I'm not happy, but I'm not as at peace because it's different from what I just experienced somewhere else. Because hell, even here in the States, when I go outside of San Antonio, I go other places, I enjoy myself and be like, damn, I realized the difference in the people, how they act, and how they do things. And when I get back here, it's just totally different. I'd be like, man, that's back to this mess. So I'm a firm believer to get out of the country to answer your question. Yeah, I probably would, more likely transition or try to transition to get away from what I'm dealing with because I feel like at this point, like we talked on the other podcast about when you're at a certain level of vibration, you think and move different.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're dealing with that, it's just hard to keep being around that because that's not how you are, and you can see the difference. So your
Mm-hmm.
reality is totally different. So it won't even be able to coexist, in my opinion. Like you just kind of alienate yourself from everybody because everything else is gonna be so
Right.
obscure to what you are now currently used to. So yeah, I really believe that because for me, with my reality right now, and I have this habit of not trusting people or kind of like prejudging people before I get to know them. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
always being told, well, you can't treat everybody the same because you don't know how that person is. And I'm like, that's true. And that is partly fault is watching all this craziness that's going on. So that's where I'm getting away. I don't even look at social media no more. I do it for my content, for posting my
Mm-hmm.
workouts. But if I do watch something, I try not to get caught up into it because I do to go backwards to what you say because I'm really sitting my hat on that. On that's the cause, the narrative they creating with all this negative stuff they putting on TV and social media, music. So if you hear and consume that all day, you're developing your reality of what you expect and what you want to deal with. Now that's all you associate with. Because I've been getting a lot of people as assholes, and I'm like, that's probably because that's the reality I've set for myself. Because the perception I have, what I see, I believe that everybody's assholes. So that's all I'm getting in my path right now. So that's what I'm working on right now, changing my belief and knowing that there's some good people out there, but not so much prejudging everybody and just kind of like not even giving anybody a chance. This is a dude at the gym, then I let you talk. I didn't know him, but he's always watching me, and I'm like, this dude, like, what is this problem? Like, if you want to know something, just come up and ask me. So right away, I felt like he was a hater, or it was something he had against me. And then he finally walked up the other day and just asked me, "Hey, are you a trainer or something? Because I watch how you work out, and you always have your camera, and you're always recording. So I just want to know, what do you do to this certain movement?" So long story short, in my mindset, I think it was just some creep or some dude that just had issues, or he's probably staring at me and just have some kind of perception of me of being some kind of like asshole. But he was actually a cool cat. We wind up talking, good dude, and that was just my mindset. Was I trained myself to think or created that reality that this dude was just some asshole that just had an issue of watching me, but he was just curious because he wanted to learn certain workouts. So I wind up telling him, giving him advice, and then we see each other, we say what's up, and everything is good. But the point I'm making all that is the reality I created for myself is everybody that's looking at me some type of way automatically have an issue with me, and I'm thinking there's something wrong with them. So that's why I believe part of that is based off of me watching a little bit of things I know I shouldn't be watching, and that subconscious got to me, and it happens to everybody. So the point I'm making everybody is we need to change our reality, and like you said, do the 17 seconds, practice that. But yeah, and I think traveling has a lot to do with it. Crazy as it sounds, like you said, once you see other cultures, I think it gives you a better picture or perspective. Because I'm a firm believer of you one place all your life, you what tunnel vision, you only have one track mind. So I always like dealing with people that's been everywhere because they have more of an open mind, in my opinion.
All right, I want to get to these two excellent points that Christina touched on, and then AJ. So first, Christina says she's like, I'm trying listening, but she got to get back to work. She says she believes we have power to choose our beliefs, and that becomes our reality. So we really have to choose to think positive. And she said, love you guys. So Christina, I don't know if you're there or not, but that's basically what I'm saying, like, or asking. How do you really know that's your beliefs? Because everybody is grabbing a belief based off of what they're being told and what they're hearing, what they're reading, and what they're seeing. So is that truly your belief? So, for example, I don't know if you're Christian or Catholic. Majority of Hispanics that I know are Catholic. So that's been taught from lineage to lineage and from generation to generation. So is that truly your belief? I know people that's Christians only because their parents taught them and raised them as Christians. So that's not truly their belief. That's a belief that's been introduced to them and basically forced on them. And they just kept it and just continued on and created that reality based off the beliefs that was, I don't want to say forced to them, but was basically programmed to them. So that's why I'm asking that question. Like, how many people truly know that they're living based off of their beliefs, opposed to belief that was programmed to them? And then KJ said, so this is good. I like this one. So is it that people with wealth have created it in their mind and poor people who want to be rich haven't manifested it yet? So that's a big part of it, I would say. I would think the other part of it is the environment that they're in. I'm about the frequency and vibration thing. So if you're focused or you're mainly in that environment, it's going to be harder. Like, I don't know if you was there when I opened up, like the whole 17-second rule thing is you have to think about it and feel it for 17 seconds. Then you kind of draw in that energy and vibration. If they're in an environment that's chaotic, then they're never truly going to be able to, because that 17 seconds is going like that because they got so much stuff going on. They're not going to be focused enough or had a belief that if I truly just think positive and have the feeling of that, of whatever it is that I want to achieve, that I'm actually going to get it. So the answer to, I don't know if it was a question. Yeah, it was a question. So to answer your question, yes, I think that has a lot to do with it. Okay. Now, getting back to the other part and kind of go back to Christina. So when I was at the Viking Museum and the guy was doing a history. So I don't know if you noticed, but majority of Europe was Scandinavia. So Sweden was actually Scandinavia before it became Sweden. And then parts of Russia, I don't think it was called Russia. And it was another part of Europe that wasn't Europe. It was all Scandinavia. So the whole thing with the Vikings and stuff like that, they more so were the ones that actually started the slave trade. So they were farmers and they would go out and, you know, tear up or take other people's land and stuff like that. And one of the things that stuck out to me is he said that majority of Scandinavia was Muslims. They practiced Muslim, and the rest was Christians. Now, they said that one thing they refused to do that they would never do, they never enslaved anybody that was Christian. Now, so when they went to Africa and they start taking slaves and stuff like that, if Africans was truly Christian, or if it was any Africans that practiced Christian, well, it wasn't Africa back then, but why did they take them? If they truly held true to what they believe in, which is that Christian is the dominant religion, and these are brothers, regardless what they look like and who they are. We're going to always, protect them and look after them and not hurt them or, take advantage of them. So I just want to put that out there, just food for thought. But again, and now, like Sweden, I think he said 80% of that country don't believe in any type of religion. Like they don't believe in a higher power. The higher power they believe in is Thor, which is crazy because Thor is from another planet in another universe. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Like when you leave the Viking Museum, they got all these pictures of Thor. So I just thought it was interesting. So basically, the point I'm getting to is, even with that, people are forced with certain ideas and concepts. That's where their belief is created. So if you was to have a child and you didn't introduce them to any of the stuff that's going on, what are they creating their belief off of? Are they creating it off of you? Or are they creating it off of society? Or are they going to truly create their own belief? Now, there was a movie I was watching, and it was weird as hell. It was like a town. Everything was exactly the same. It was cookie cutter. And basically it was like, I don't know if it was a robot, but it was a child that had no other children in the neighborhood. They didn't have any TV. The only thing they had was the parents. That child based everything off of his existence, off of what the parents were showing him and telling him. So that's what I just want people to think about. Are your beliefs truly your beliefs? Or is it subconsciously a belief that's been programmed or presented to you and you just picked up on it and say, okay, I believe this. This sounds good. Right. And then here you are. You believing in Christianity, you believing in metaphysics, you believing in Muslim Islam, you believing in what's the other one? Catholic. So that's just something to think about. I'm just curious what your uh, thoughts are on that.
Yeah. So that's a good point. That the one that I'm gonna kind of speak on, that the one that, well, that resonated with me was the one about when you said, "How do you know what your real belief are is if it's based off of what you was taught?" And I think that's the key right there, because that is true. Now that I'm sitting here listening to you and thinking at the same time, a lot of people do create their beliefs off of the way they was raised. Now, I would say, as you get older, you should start to develop your own beliefs
Hmm.
based off of what you learn versus what you experience. So this is going to go back to what I said earlier about traveling and why that's good that you do that. And I think that's important if you can or have the capability to travel, because you will get a better understanding of different cultures, how people live. I think that will open your mind more to have different beliefs and understanding of what your reality is. Because if you based off of, like you say, off of what you grew up on, that's normally what you're gonna believe because that's all you know. So I think that can be good, but dangerous at the same time. Because if somebody manipulates you and teach you what they want you to believe, and you grow up believing that, practicing that, they just created what they wanted because you don't have no other things to go off of. So I feel like it's real important once you get older, you need to develop and understand and get your own data and
Hmm.
start creating your own beliefs. Because yeah, that is to me a deciding factor on your religion. I was talking to someone the other day and they was like, "Do you go to church?" And I was like, "No, I haven't been to church since I was a kid." "Oh, well, what's wrong with you? Your parents, I was like, my dad was a deacon, my mom, dad was in church, everything. And we grew up like that. But I said, now that I'm older, I don't go." So she just couldn't understand it. And that's not right. You're supposed to believe in God. And just going on her little, no, I ain't gonna say tantrum, but on her little soliloquy about what you should believe in religiously. Because she grew up in the church, she got her kids in the church. So I think that's a perfect example of that's the only belief she knows because she went through it with her parents. Now
Hmm.
she's teaching it to her kids, but she never learned anything else. So she only has what I was saying earlier, tunnel vision, and two, about being complacent and content and not wanting to learn
Hmm.
and get out and explore. So I think that's the key to it, is so learning and experiencing other things to help you make a better decision on your beliefs. Because if you don't, you're gonna pretty much go off of what you was raised on, you
Hmm.
know. Because that, I mean, I think that was perfect when you said that, because that made me really think about us, how we grew up, and other people I know, friends and stuff, and how they believe and what they talk about, and they all pretty much go off of the way they was raised. They don't have anything else to resort to because that's all they know. So it's kind of like they was well, I'm gonna say it, manipulated into believing one way.
Hmm.
You know, it's something that may not be a bad thing, but if you really want to have more control of your life, I think you need to explore and
Hmm.
experience to be able to figure out which one you really choose to believe in that fits who you are. You know what I mean? As an adult,
Hmm.
anyway.
I had a revelation the other day. So I didn't get a chance to talk to you, but when I was driving back from Tampa, the car I had, the rental car, it got a flat tire. So
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough that it was a gas station not too far, so I was able to drive off without being stuck on the expressway. So I
Mm-hmm.
pulled over. I contacted the host for Tiro, and this joker just replied back. Now, this is a Mercedes. I don't know if anybody have a Mercedes out there, but apparently Mercedes don't have a spare tire. So there was no spare tire in the trunk. So I texted her. I was like, do you have a spare tire? There's no spare tire in here. Well, I don't know. You need to contact Turo. They had a customer service for that. I was like, that's kind of rude. So long story short, I called Turo. These jokers was supposed to dispatch a tow truck. Your brother calls like, look, man, because of the hurricane, we're not going to be able to get out there probably till like 8, 9 o'clock. I said, dude, are you serious? It was like 1 o'clock, mind you, in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I called Turo back, and I called these people at least 3 or 4 times, and tow truck never came. So
Mm.
finally got my ride, came and got me. She drove 3 hours to come get me, and I did everything I was supposed to. I reported it. Told the people in Turo, well, just leave the car, just make sure it's in a secure place, make sure it's locked up. Did that. Next day, the owner calls and was like, "Did you abandon my car?" I was like, "No, I ain't abandoned your car. The tow truck didn't show up." So this joker charged me a cleaning fee, or tried to charge me a cleaning fee, was like $150. No gas fee, wasn't filled up, or was it $50? Then she gave me a bad review because she got mad because I gave her a bad review. Then it was trying to charge me $260 um, for damages because I did a report, a claim or whatever. So mind you, for the whole week, I'm back and forth on the phone with these jokers trying to get this straight. So I finally wrote a letter to the CEO,
Mm.
and I laid into this customer service rep for about 30 minutes. I said, "This is a trash
Right.
ass company. I'm never going
Right.
to rent from y'all again. I'm a mechanic, and you do not put a vehicle out on the road without a spare tire. You putting that person at risk. What if I was in
Yeah.
Timbuktu and there was nowhere to get a tow truck?
Yeah.
I was out here for 9 hours. I said, y'all want to fix this. I'm not paying anything, and y'all are going to take that bad review off." So long story
Uh-huh.
short, they took the review off. They voided the $220. So I'm
Uh-huh.
good to go. So basically what I'm getting to, and somebody asked me this, because I'm always talking about manifestation, stuff like that. And it's like, so, well, how did you get a flat tire then? Now, no one has to believe me, but this is the 100% truth. I don't know why I think like this, but I just do. And it's more for 17 seconds. When I'm driving to the gym, sometimes for whatever reason, it just comes in my mind, blowout. My tire's going to blow out. Now, mind you, I do this for like, off and on, maybe a day or so. If I'm right, I don't know why it comes out of my mind. Oh, you're going to get a
Yeah.
blowout. The tire's going to blow out. So it
Uh-huh.
never happened, but this particular day it happened. So basically, what
Right.
I'm getting to is I believe we truly can manifest stuff into reality. Sometimes it's instant, sometimes it may take a while. So the revelation I had was, because I do customer service and I have no patience with anybody. And I be basically going back and forth with some of these people.
Yeah.
And when these customers are calling in, they pissed off, I don't want to hear it.
Right.
I went in on this lady for almost 30 minutes. And she was like,
Right.
"Okay, sir, are you done?" I was like, "Yes, I'm done. Thank you." So the point I'm getting to is, they didn't hang up on me. They just let me vent. They didn't complain, and they maintained their professionalism. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that was the universe saying, "Okay, this is how you're supposed to be. You're not going
Right.
to move forward or get to where you want to be until you learn this important lesson."
Mm.
So that was my revelation from that. I don't know if that means anything to you or anybody else, but that's what I got from
Yeah.
that.
No, that's a good one. I mean, sometimes, yeah, smack you in the face and wake you up and show you kind of how, yeah. So I think that was a good example. Yeah, that is crazy though how we do create that, because if we constantly thinking of something, it makes sense to me how that would come about. It's almost like you're creating it. Yeah, literally, like you said, you're manifesting it because that's your mindset is focused on.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually bringing it to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for people to accept that because it seems like it's so far fetched. But
Right.
I'm a firm believer of that. I feel like anything, just like KJ was saying earlier about the wealthy, why they wealthy and why the poor is
Mm-hmm.
poor. I think that's a perfect example when she said that. Is because they focus on visualize, know what they're gonna do, how they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do it, and then when you broke, you focus on more why you gonna be broke. Oh,
Right.
I gotta pay this, I gotta pay that. Damn it, this
Mm-hmm.
damn bill. So you're always gonna be stuck in that mindset. And you always gonna get that because you're creating it because that's all
Mm-hmm.
you focus on. So it's kind of redundant. Like you said it, and I'm saying it again. But yeah, we have to really start thinking, myself included, better thoughts. and just consistency. I mean, hell, there's nothing else really I can say because that's in a nutshell
Hmm.
is it. Be consistent and believe it. I think that's them two hand in hand. Believe it and be consistent with it, and your reality will be definitely better.
Hmm.
So I know that. I believe that, and that's where it's at as far as I'm concerned on that.
All right, so it looked like you got somewhere to go because you keep looking at the clock. So,
No, I'm leading up because my knee is throbbing, so I'm dealing with the pain right now because I
oh,
did legs and I did a little extra, so now I'm reaping from the workout. So I'm kind of dealing with the knee pain. So I'm
okay.
trying to block it out. So I'm just like leaning forward. I know I'm
Yeah.
fidgeting a lot. I'm trying to block out the pain. That's all.
No, I just keep seeing you looking over like that. So I was like, he must got somewhere to go.
No, I'm serious. That's just me trying to focus on not the pain, but everything else. I'm kind of like all over the place right now.
You know what they kind of remind me of? Mom used to do that. She'd be leaning forward, massaging her knee, and she'd be looking around and stuff when she'd be talking to you.
Yeah.
That's
Like
exactly
that's
what
gonna
she's doing.
change something, but no, it's not.
Hmm.
No, I mean I do ask for to go, but I ain't worried about that because I love this conversation. I feel like I mean it's a good one. It's something that's important because we all have a reality that we have that we may not be happy with, so may be content with it. But it's the way we could change it, and that's just changing our thoughts.
All right. So let me ask you this. Do you believe that somebody can then heal themselves through their belief?
Now we talked about that before. I'm gonna say depends because I got into it with somebody about that the other day about thinking your way and believing you can heal it. I feel like it depends on what it is. I think you can block it out. I don't know if you can heal it. I just haven't experienced that with anybody or talked to anyone to actually have that happen. I feel like if it's something wrong with you, if you keep thinking about it, you can create it to get it worse, or vice versa. If you could block it out and change your mindset, you might heal yourself, or you might just be kind of suppressing it until it gets worse. So to answer your question, I'm on the fence on that one right now. I
As
I,
you know
I
what
feel like you, huh?
so you know what's interesting about that is I do believe that you can heal a person can heal themselves. And the reason why I
Mm-hmm.
say it is like the placebo effect. That's real.
Right.
So if the placebo can be real, you can take something you think is really helping and it helps you to the point to where you can do, different things with that. So why
Mm-hmm.
can't it be in the reverse? So the
Right.
placebo effect works both ways, in my opinion. I just
Mm-hmm.
believe, like you said, you really don't come across anybody that actually said, well, I healed myself. And then the ones that do, people don't believe it. Like, man, that's a bunch of BS. That person didn't heal themselves. That's a lie. So I
Right.
think that's why less people are able to do it. Going back to the whole programming thing,
Yeah.
it started with you creating that belief. So if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have a example of it, then it's less
Right.
likely people are going to believe it because we have to see it for our own with our own eyes to
Right.
say, okay, that's real. And
Mm-hmm.
until that happens, then that nobody's going to create that belief. So it's always going to seem like a myth, you know. So I honestly believe that a person can. It just seems so far fetched because when you think about some of the diseases out there and stuff,
Right.
um, it's like, how could that be possible? Now I've heard stories. I never met anybody to whereas I heard people that went to the doctor and
Mm-hmm.
they was told that okay, you have cancer, and they went back and they contemplated and they basically created the cancer because they thought about it. And I've read it in books where a guy said that he went to a doctor and the doctor said he had cancer and he went back and said, nope, I don't believe it. I refuse to believe it. And he went back and the doctor's like, that's amazing. I don't see the cancer anymore. So I don't know if it's because we haven't actually just talked to somebody personally that we know. It's hard to believe, but
Right.
I do believe that we can heal ourselves. I just think it's just really start with the belief along with that feeling and just feeling it and just knowing that I am healed. Because I say that, like when I get sick or whatever, I'll be like, well, I'm healed, and I try my best to feel it when I'm doing my meditations and stuff. So I definitely believe that can happen. Okay, KJ says, I have thought of horrible thoughts that never happened. Okay, so how long have you thought about these horrible thoughts? Just because it haven't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Now, if you're talking about something from 20, 30 years ago, yeah. But if you're talking about something that maybe a month, 2 months ago, that's the thing. It's not always instantaneous because our vibration frequency constantly fluctuates. So that's the thing. Now, if you constantly thinking negative thoughts every single day, then hell yeah, it's going to happen quick. But if you think it like randomly, let's say today is what, Saturday, you just think about it today. Then you don't think about it again until another month. Then no, it's not going to happen instant because your vibration frequency has changed since then, and you've been in positive thoughts within that time span. What I'm talking about is every day you get up and throughout the day you always thinking negative thoughts. I don't know too many people like that. So if you're doing that, then something's definitely wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, she said all the time anxiety. Okay, so it actually do happen. You're probably thinking of something catastrophic. And again, everything is not going to be catastrophic. It may not be in the form that you expecting it to come. It can be in the form of, let's say, for example, if you have employees and you constantly dealing with employees doing bad things, employees quitting. If you constantly have a cycle of things happen at your job, then you are creating that. If you always the type of person that's struggling with your finances and you just can't catch a break, that's another form of creating that reality. If you're always a person that's always getting sick, then that's another way of creating that reality. So it's never going to come in the form that you think it is. It's going to come because if you're always dealing with something, you ever meet somebody who's like, damn, every time I talk to that person, they got something going on. That's somebody that's constantly thinking negative thoughts. Your whole life should not be every day some drama. There has to be some peace. If you the type of person where every time you turn around, you got drama, then it's definitely happening to you. So that's something to think about. Don't look for those big wow type of things. It's not that. It could be something as subtle as I stated earlier, dealing with people, constantly doing you wrong, or people constantly, whether if it's at work, your friends, your family. Because Kiara, I'm going to put her on blast, but there was a point to where she was going through, and every time, based off of her siblings and her mom, something was bad happening to her. But now things is on the up and up. And if you talk to her, she's more of a positive thinker. She talks about that. And when she speaks, it's more about positivity opposed to woe is me. So that's just my observation of it. Everybody else may have something different that they observe. So, Mark, what do you think about that, what she just said?
Well, I kind of agree with that. So that's where you will have challenges. Like if you do constantly think of something and nothing never happened, but I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said it comes in different forms or ways of bad things happening. Because sometimes we tend to expect something over the top and be like, damn, see, shit always happening to me. Because that was me earlier in my 20s. I was always going through shit, and Jay was always like, dude, little big brother, you gotta stop doing what you're doing. Because
Mm-hmm.
he'd tell me you're creating your own situation by making bad choices. And I would always say, why does stuff always gotta happen to me? What do I do? I'm doing everything right. I don't do anything wrong. I'm a taxpayer and all this. And Jay just laughed like it's because you're thinking too negative about yourself. You don't have no belief.
Mhm.
So everything you're doing, you're making bad decisions by not having no belief and confidence. So to answer what KJ was saying or kind of comment, I feel like if you are a negative person, not are a negative person, but if you constantly thinking negative or bad things is probably are coming to you, you're just not recognizing it because you are expecting the over the top something
Mhm.
that's right smack in your face, like damn it, see, and
Mhm.
that's probably why. But yeah, I mean that's perfectly said. What you stated earlier, like you gotta just change that mindset and then constantly thinking positive, and the good things will come. I mean, like we've been saying this whole hour, it's literally that simple, even though it's not. You just gotta change your mindset and just believe. I think belief is gonna be the one I kind of lean on with the thoughts. I know the belief come from your thoughts, but
Mhm.
if you believe it, I just firm believer that it's gonna come in good abundance. Things gonna change. Without that belief, you ain't gonna. I don't think nothing's gonna change. You know, you could think, and you said this earlier, Matt, today and on the other show. If you say it, but you don't really mean it, if you kind of saying it to say it, then I feel like that's why it's not happening because you're not believing it. It's not real. It's not genuine, and that's the reason why. And I feel like that's what myself or anybody else.
Mhm.
Once you get to that point where you truly feel it, that's where the change is going to come and start getting better results on your reality.
Yeah. 100%. All right, so I'm thinking I'm gonna wrap it up with that. Uh, so I think it was a good conversation. Some good stuff came out of it, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, beautiful people. I don't know if you was there, KJ, when we was talking about the 17-second rule. 17 start over 17 seconds of just thinking positive or whatever it is that you want, and not just thinking it, but feel it. And just start off with that every day, 17 seconds, and then increase it every day by 1 minute. So that way, by 6 months from now, you're basically throughout the whole day, you're thinking positive and you're feeling all that at the same time. And just watch it change and see, because that's a universal law. And that's something I wanted to touch on. That's the law of attraction, which is what is like unto itself is drawn. That's the universal law. It has to happen. So if you think positive and you do that consistently, universal law stays it have to happen. You have to draw that positive energy to you. So that starts with the belief. That's up to you if you want to believe that or not. Um, so with that, beautiful people, your thoughts creates your belief, and your belief creates your reality. Until next week, y'all be good, be safe, and we out. Peace.
Yeah.